a random bartender set up a self-serve cocktail station at Josh Ellis's birthday party. That night, everyone was drinking $15 cocktails, while Josh, the host, never had to pour a single drink. This simple birthday party hack turned into WithCo. Josh Ellis decided to do something completely different. From Target to Sprouts to high-end hotels, Josh Ellis has expanded WithCo far beyond its Nashville roots. It's a powerful reminder that successful brands don't just sell products, they create experiences that make people feel something. If I was gonna open my fridge right now, I can tell you, if I open it up, on the left-hand side is gonna be the old-fashioned mix of WithCo. It's gonna be there. Before it was the margarita mix, but then is the old-fashioned mix, which I didn't know you connected to you or anything, but it was a cocktail mix that I use regularly because, one, it looked visually different than any other cocktail mix. Like it was already striking, like, what is that? Even some of the phrasing and terminology on the bottle, but then just looking at it going like, oh, this is interesting. And then it tasted fantastic. And then our paths crossed at a friend's house and all these different things. You started WithCo. I want to hear a little bit about where does this guy who lives in Franklin, grows up in Nashville, starts a cocktail mix company that starts to just take off and grow in great popularity. Now you're in hotels across the country. Some of the premier hotels across the country have great investment from well-known people into WithCo. Where does that start for you? How do you start something like that here in Nashville? Where does that begin?
People assume that I have worked in a restaurant. I was a bartender.
Yeah, like, this guy's a mixologist.
I had a pain point. I was like, let's create a solution. Absolutely not. Well, not in the terms of like hospitality. That was not where it came from. To really like tell a long story short, I love hosting.
Okay.
My wife and I just always had people over. Gathering is just a big part of it. Was one of our values. It's just family, hosting, friends. And I met a bartender that moved from Southern California to Nashville. He didn't know anybody here. Somebody told him he should reach out to me. So he reached out to me. We went and had coffee.
Which is a thing in Nashville that I absolutely love. Is like, hey, meet this person, hang out with this person. I've never met as many generous people with their time as I have in Nashville, Franklin. It's amazing.
And I was his first friend, which I'm a handful of people's first friends in Nashville. Awesome. It's an honor. I like to show them the ropes.
Yeah.
So at that time, I remember asking him a question like, hey, if money didn't matter, what would you wake up and do tomorrow? Like, I wanted to know the answer without the fear. Like, what is that thing? And he's like, I love making cocktails. I love using unique ingredients. Like, having people at his bar was like a joy to him, not a job.
Yeah.
And to be honest with you, when we left, didn't really expect there to be like another time we hung out.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
There wasn't that chemistry
like
immediately where like, this is instantly somebody I'm going to be hanging with.
And a few months later, I called him and said, hey, I'm having a birthday party in my backyard. I would love to have a bartender. Like, would you come? I know this is the thing that you love. Come do that here because it's part of what I love, which is the community, the hosting side. Of course, I gave him a day's notice, and he's like, I can't be there tomorrow night. And right before he hung up, he said, but let me just trust me. I'll handle it. I'm like, all right. So I call my wife. I'm like, hey, this dude's coming over. Just let him in. He's cool. He's doing something. Just let him in. So I get to the house that night, and in the backyard, there was this, he had rolled our like bar cart outside, set up this self-serve cocktail station. And
how long ago was this?
This was my birthday, June 7th, like 2017.
Okay.
So it was a while back.
Yeah.
And there was 3 stations, and he had these handwritten cards that was like, Madagascar vanilla, Angostura bitters. And then the instructions were like, pour this, add the spirit, and stir. And I was like, this is amazing. And a couple things happened that night. The first was we're all drinking like $15, $16 cocktails in the backyard.
Yeah.
So right away, you're like, most of us were like, we don't know how to make drinks really well, let alone like at home. So this is great. Second thing is I noticed everyone's experience of building it themselves was kind of like a party trick. Like it was like an interactive experience. And then everyone was trying each other's like, dude, mine tastes like that.
Yeah.
So I almost had this weird like notion of consistency. Like, man, we can all be bartenders. The thing that really was like,
oh, that's cool. That kind of like that a waking up moment of like, we can all do this thing.
Weirdly, I'm at my birthday noticing this interactive experience, and then wheels are kind of spinning in my head. And the last thing is I remember thinking my wife and I served like 100 drinks a night to friends, and the only ones we poured were ours.
Wow.
That is how hosting should be.
Wow.
We weren't in the kitchen. We weren't stressing. Or for Bradley, the bartender that I met for coffee, for him, he knows how to make drinks. So when he's hosting, he's constantly looking at their glasses back to the kitchen. So he's actually not, he's distracted when he's hosting.
Yeah.
So that was his pain point. My pain point is I can't make drinks when I'm hosting.
Yeah.
So we both had different pain points that were actually all around the same thing, which is hosting and spending time with company.
Yeah.
And so it was pretty much like file the LLC, called him and said, I put $1,000 in a bank account. I know we don't know each other that well, but I think we should do this.
Oh, wow.
Let's take your recipes from the bar to the bottle, and I'll figure out how to sell them. And then we went into business.
And so WithCo is with company.
So it started out, the name of the company started as Kindred Spirits.
Okay.
And because as we got to know each other, we realized we were Kindred Spirits. And we were like, dude, this is perfect. Has a play on word with the spirits, the spirit word. Couldn't trademark it for many reasons. And I believe it's his wife, Addison, one day was like, guys, I got it. What about WithCo? And I'm like, absolutely not.
You're like,
I don't like it. It just doesn't, because it felt like we were changing a child's name. You know, like it just didn't connect because you're so, the Kindred Spirits thing felt like almost like our compass for decision making. Like, let's go find people that have a kindred spirit. They like to host.
Yeah.
So we were really dedicated to that. And a few things happened. The first was I was like, think about all the weird names out there that they were noises at one point until they became a brand that you recognize. The word Nike, doesn't do anything.
Exactly.
But then you can build something meaningful behind the word that now the word Nike means a bunch of different things to us.
Yeah. Which is such a good way to think about naming. That's such a fantastic, like it may not mean something yet, but what we're going to do is going to provide that meaning to it. Yeah. Love that.
It's like when you have a child and then a few years later, you're like, I couldn't imagine them having a different name. I have a daughter named Holiday. Yeah. And like, she's just the light. She has so much life about her. And my other daughter's name's Paloma, which is a symbol of peace. And I'm like, it's like the identity becomes the word versus the word being the identity. So the thing that really clicked is when she was like, WithCo, with company. Like, okay. Yeah. There's an emotion that we can build something behind. And that's where I fell in love with the name, was like with company. Oh, now the thing that we are naming it is also the thing we want people to do with it. Yeah. Okay. And then it was like that aha moment where it's like, all right, we can build something behind
So then what was that process after that? So was it like 1 drink, 2 drink, 3 drinks? Like, are we going to build like, what was the perspective of how you were going to enter the market with? Because there's lots of cocktail mixes out there. We
had no idea. We just knew everything on the shelf looks like a plastic bottle of car coolant. Yeah. And if you go read the label, none of us know anything written on the back of the label. Some of them say margarita is 0% juice. I'm like, what are we drinking if it's not juice? Totally. And honestly, we were so naive. We didn't really look at the beverage space. Yeah. We just were stubborn and said, let's do something the right way which is only fresh juice and botanicals. So no like sweeteners, no concentrates, no preservatives. It was really the way that the bartender does it at a nice cocktail bar where they're fresh juicing and batching everything. We're going to do it the same way.
You obsessed about that part. Like, yeah. Well, and you still haven't, like, that's not something that's been changed.
No, and it won't. So to answer your question, it was a long road of creating a very bespoke process that could have been easily short-circuited by just putting things in it to get to shelf faster.
What was that value? I love that because you're dialing in on why I love what WithCo does and means and stands for. When I have friends over and we're having a cocktail, the WithCo is there as a staple thing now because of that exact thing, that experience. You can go make your drink. No one has to measure it out for you. You can do it there. But that quality of product, you could have easily skipped out on that and changed it for lots of reasons. I understand a little bit what you're saying here, but if I was to double tap in and go, what is the deeper value for you in that this brand is going, we're not going to compromise on that. Like, even if it means something.
Bradley and I said, we're going to make it for us.
Okay.
And there's probably a lot of people out there like us. And what I mean by that is we're going to make it for us because we're going to host with it. Mm-hmm. So it's a personal value. Yeah. It'll connect to the values of other people that want to host. And number 2, we're only going to drink it personally if it's fresh juice and real ingredients. Right. So how do we tailor it to just get to the market faster, to just make money faster? we would have had a product that eventually we would have probably felt disconnected from.
That is so good.
So that stubbornness led us to 2 years of trying to figure out how to get it shelf stable.
Yeah.
I mean, there was a time where I was going into a liquor store with a mason jar, like, would you sell this? They try it. They're like, absolutely. I'm like, it's a 30-day shelf life. We'll come swap it. Like, think about that. That's how probably ignorant or like oblivious we were. It's like, we'll just come swap it. I'm like, so in the beginning, getting shelf stability was hard because you just throw preservatives in it and it'll be good forever. We were like, no, let's not.
Yeah.
Well, then the challenge was, great, how are you going to get shelf stability without all this stuff? And that was really Bradley's space, was like, hey, you figure it out. Like, you do the R&D. I mean, Bradley was making all of our stuff in his kitchen.
Wow.
And we're like slinging it out of the trunk of the car with a square reader for like, oh, you're getting married? You want some WithCo? Here.
Yeah.
And then what we eventually found out is if we did a heat pasteurization, so heated it up slightly and then bottled it, it keeps that oxygen in to where no bacteria can start to grow. It's called heat pasteurization. But we were working with a manufacturer that had never done it. So it took us a minute. And then when we got it, we're like, okay.
So what I love about that is the resilience of your brand to develop a quality product that you were like, we want this for ourselves. It's got to be good enough. We can make a shortcut. We absolutely could. And we can compromise this for revenue, for profit, for all kinds of reasons, to get rid of the headache of shelf life. Like, we could just, if we just did this, it's just one little change. But there is this resilience in you around this product to say, nope, because if we did that, it's no longer the brand we would stand behind.
Correct.
And I think what's interesting about that for me is sometimes when people they get so lost in their ideal customer profile that they don't even look at it as something they would enjoy.
Yeah.
They're just purely going, this person would buy it, let's sell it to them.
Yeah.
And you're going, no, we didn't do it like that. And it shows up because of that, because it doesn't have those preservatives. It doesn't have those elements into it. So when you figured that out, were you already selling it with a shelf life? Like, were stores taking that, or did it until you could?
We waited.
You waited. Okay.
We were like, let's get a minimal viable product that actually is scalable.
Yeah.
From 2017, it was almost like a year and a half just to like get it shelf stable, get a website, like almost just get it ready to start. And then from and in the beginning, it was literally we would just walk into a liquor store and trade like cases for cash. You want some? Cool. Here it is. No distributor. Like, just very bootstrap.
Yeah. You're doing this thing guerrilla-like.
And from 2017, 18, and 19, all the way to 2020, he was working in restaurants and I'm doing real estate full time.
Wow.
So it didn't, no one was really breathing the life building a beverage company needs into it. It was just like, hey, this is fun. But then we started doing events, and I thought the events were super important for two reasons. Number one, you're bringing people together to drink with company. Yeah. So you're outliving the value of the company out loud. Yeah. And number two, let's watch hundreds and then eventually thousands of people have the same expression over and over and over to know that what we think is the best thing actually is.
Wow.
So we would do events with 20, 30, 40, sometimes up to 100 people in line. Okay. And we were literally slinging hundreds of cocktails.
And where are you doing these events at? Like, is it it's in that trailer you guys had? The WithCo trailer?
No, it was, we'd get hired to do events. Then I started a series called Cocktails and Community. So I was like turning spaces into like, not really like, kind of like a nightlife bar. I have a DJ.
You're creating essentially these brand activations where you're going like,
and we're giving it was like $10 to get in the door, but all you can WithCo. It was like, wow. So highly illegal. Like we were creating these like liquor labs, basically like, hey, get in line.
We don't have a liquor license. We can't.
I remember I talked to an ex-ABC like attorney and she was like, you're kind of in a gray area because you're not charging for the drink. Yeah. You're still in a gray area, which means there's some problematic aspects of it, but she was like, just don't ever trade a drink for the money. I'm like, that's all I need to know. It's good enough. It's on the edge.
Right there. We'll play in the gray space.
So we started doing that, and you know, there's nothing like, it's one thing to think you've created something great. It's another thing when you watch wearing a pair of jeans, like if I created denim and someone's like, man, I love these jeans, that's one thing. Yeah. But watching someone take a sip and you can read their body language, their facial expression, that like, that is like the truest form of feedback. Yeah. And we watched it thousands of it's like what we needed as like that early stage to be like, yes, look at this. These are like beta tasters.
Yeah.
They're in line trying it. We're watching the feedback. So we did that for like 3 years. And I had this guy approach me that was a friend, and he was sober 12 years and was using my product or using WithCo at an event, and called me one day and was like, dude, I'm drinking WithCo with soda water every day and is an amazing mocktail. Wow. And being someone that no longer drinks and was a bartender, I know the quality of this.
Yeah.
If it had tequila or liquor in it.
Right.
Let's get together. So we go sit down, and I remember him saying, I want to help you do this. I want to help you go full time, but you have to do 3 things. You have to sell one of your rental properties and live off that money for about 6 months, because you're not going to make $1 in this company for a while.
Wow.
And it was over by Topgolf, like, great place. I wish I still had it.
Yeah, exactly.
Number 2, you have to quit real estate completely and no longer be a realtor, because what you're trying to build is going to need every part of you and not just like a little bit of attention. It's going to need that full dedication.
It's going to need that leader willing to risk.
And number 3, you got to go home and make sure your wife's on board. And if you do all 3 of those things, I'll meet you here every week. We'll write up all the things you need to go do. You go do them. We'll come back, talk about what worked, recreate a list, go do it again. And I remember I stood up and I go, I'll see you Friday.
Wow.
I needed somebody, because my co-founder went from being a bartender to now being an owner operator in multiple restaurants in Nashville. So this was really like, if someone's going to do this, it's me.
Yeah.
But all of a sudden having somebody sit with me and say, I believe in you.
Yeah.
But I know what it's going to take. And if you're willing to do that, I'll walk with you. It was like, am I going to hire a gym trainer and never show up? No.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm wired for that sense of accountability and connection. And I was like,
that fueled you.
That's
somebody coming in and believing you and you seeing where you could go with this. Just, it didn't have the adverse reaction of accountability scares me. You're like, accountability, I'm going to thrive in this.
I got a banner above my desk, which I actually saw one out there that says comfort's a slow death.
Yeah.
And I hung that up the day that I went full time.
Okay.
And it was like, all right, you're about to go down this journey. You're going to make a lot less money than you were in real estate, because I sold a lot of real estate when I did it. You're going to lose this rental property. So now you have this like healthy passion to justify selling a piece of real estate. Like you're going to now use that as fuel of like, I better not regret this. Like I learned at an early age, like my back up against the wall is sometimes where my best, like, not performance, but where I am more aligned in like getting it done.
Yeah.
Versus, I mean, to me, that's the best motivation for me personally is having the odds against me. So I was like, man, if I do all this, then I go talk to my wife. She's like, everything you do when you're all in works and you're the happiest. Let's do it. Yeah. And so I sold that property. I was driving a car that I absolutely loved. I'm a big car guy. I've had like 35 or 40.
Yeah, I've seen some of your Land Rovers, some of your Defenders you've done.
Yeah. And I sold that. I went and bought a Dodge Ram box van, put a pallet of product in, and woke up the next day and said, I'm no longer a realtor. I'm now this beverage founder. I stopped listening to every podcast about investing in real estate, and I started listening to beverage founders. Like it was just full switch. Yeah. Because I'm like, I committed to all in.
And what were some of the takeaways for you that when you went all in, when you're like, when I had to think about this brand, some of the things I wasn't thinking about that I started to think about when I switched that hat, when I started to really focus on building this beverage brand, what were some of the things that you're like, we're not doing this and we need to start doing it? Or takeaways in that moment where you're like, I started to do this.
I need to find people smarter than me to do the things that I'm not the best at. Okay. So that was the first thing. And I couldn't afford it. Yeah. So I knew it, but I was like, I don't know how we're going to get there. Yeah. Second thing is, it's like, I need to learn what are the channels that we can actually sell in. Because it's one thing to be like, let's go sell a lot of this. It's another thing to be like, is it retail? Is it behind bars? Is it on e-commerce? And I had no idea which direction. So a little bit was just like, I now have a great product, but now I need to go be a practitioner in this space, in this industry. So you were looking
for distribution. You were trying to figure out like, how did you, and where did the journey come for? So I want to talk a little bit more about the bottle shape, the way that it looks, the way that it hits the market, because it looks different than
I'm smiling. Yeah. Like this part I love.
Okay, please dive in, because I love this part too, because it's what stood out to me with WithCo.
I think one of my superpowers, self-induced superpowers, or like self-diagnosed, might be the early stage brand aspect of anything I'm working on. Yeah. I love that part of it, which is I'm like, all right, let's work backwards. I remember thinking that there was this idea of hitting all these sensory moments from the buyer's point of view. Okay, so let me break that down. The first one is visual. We need something that stands out in a sea of the same. So everything on the shelf, if you're watching this, we all have been to a liquor store, we've been to a grocery store. You have a tall plastic bottle, sometimes glass, with a color that is not the color of lime juice. It's bright green. It's like a muted, or everything settles at the bottom and you have to shake it. Like that happens sometimes, but not to the extent of a lot of these products. So I'm like, when someone's glancing, they go, what is that? Yeah. So I go, visually, we need to draw them into a sense of curiosity. Yeah. Like they don't know what it is, but they're curious enough. And that's why we created this sleek bottle that also would have been very easy to just put a pressure sensitive sticker on it. Right. So simple, right? No, we're going to completely shrink wrap this thing from top to bottom. Yeah. We still to this day have shrink issues with like perforation. That's the hardest bottle to open. I'm like, how can this be so difficult? But it was almost like that rebellious stubbornness of like, no, it's going to be this way. If it delays things, if it creates complications, even if it's slightly more in cost, it'll be worth it for this experience we're going to take people on. So
it'll be worth it for the experience, which so many people try to deter brands away because they're like, it's just a little thing. Don't worry about it. Like move past it. Like it's going to be fine. No one's going to think about it. The perforated edge, just so you know, the perforated edge on the WithCo bottle, you may have never thought about it this way, but as a consumer and a user, always makes me think freshness. Every time I do it, I go, this bottle feels fresher than every other thing. Because this edge, this perforated edge thing makes me feel like something is enclosed in here that required this kind of detail. So anyway,
I'll think about it differently now. Yeah, thank you. Thanks, Chris.
Anyway, but so
that was the visual.
Worth it. Yeah.
When I see it, I want to be curious as to what it is. So make it stand out, right? Yeah. Second thing is touch. When you grab that bottle, plastic is very common in our industry. But to me, I said, we're going to be one of the highest priced on the shelf. So there needs to be a trust and sense of like touch. So when you touch it, the shrink's really sleek and the bottle's glass. And I was like, that's why we're choosing glass. Also, it helped with the heat pasteurization process. But before we knew that, it was about like, it needs to feel quality. Yeah. If I'm going to ask more, so I think about value and price. If something feels expensive, it's because the price is outweighing the value. Yeah. So as we begin to add more value in someone's mind, price begins to drop. So nothing's really expensive to us. It's just our perception of its value is actually lower than the price tag. Yes. So it's like, all right, let's take people on this journey. Now it's glass. Okay, man, $19.99. Yeah. It almost feels like it could be worth $19.99. My goal is for them to be like, I forgot price because I want what it is. Yeah. So the glass plate. So good. The glass plate. So important. And all right, so now we have sight, we have touch. Now we have to move into taste. There's so many companies out there that look really great and they feel really great and then they don't taste really great. Yes. Same way there's a lot of companies that taste really great, but then they didn't earn your trust on the other stuff, right?
They think about the bottle, they don't think about the way it looks. They're not shrink wrapping it.
So when you think about taste, you got to think about like it's all going to be the quality of the ingredients, right? But when I take a 1/4 pound of ginger root, not ginger syrup, not ginger flavoring, but real ginger root, and crush that down and take that ginger root and pair it with fresh lime juice, bitters, all that, it's going to taste like what you order at a bar because actually most bars are using ginger beer. So like to really use ginger root or real agave. We have stuff with bee pollen, raw honey, lavender. I mean, the list goes on and on with these unique ingredients. It has to taste good because at the end of the day, that's what the product's all about. Like all those other senses are cool, but if it tastes bad, that's the whole point. It's a drinkable, consumable product. So there's a huge emphasis on what's inside the bottle, right? So now we moved into taste. The last one is not necessarily a sensory in terms of like feel, taste, see, hear, but it was the emotional sensory of connection, right?
Still so important.
And that honestly is the most to me, it's the most important part because it's beneath the level. It's psychological, it's emotional, it's biological. Like, and what I mean by that is you then take this bottle, you open it, and you share it with your in-laws.
Yeah.
You share it with your spouse. You share it with your friends. You share it at your wedding. If you're a hotel or a place that use it behind the bar, you're sharing it with your guests. Once people realize that this bottle led to create more conversations, they led to connections, they led to drinking with company, they led to the backyard birthday party experience I had. Now all of a sudden there's that like last piece of from the first moment you saw it, felt it, tasted it, and then were moved by it.
Yeah.
And I don't know how many people like are going to that level of philosophy, but I do know a lot of people, the first thing they say when they see me is like, I never have people over without WithCo. And I'm like, cool. So the last one is actually the thing they're mentioning. Like, I know it tastes good. People will tell me it tastes good, but generally they're telling me how they're using it.
Yeah.
And I already know they're using it with company.
Yeah.
And you can have a nightcap at the end of the day by yourself. That's great too.
Yeah,
but like,
it's interesting because I have the experience where my wife was going away on a 5-day trip, and one of her gifts to me was bottle of bourbon, right next to it, bottle of WithCo. Yep. Like, here you go while I'm gone.
Yep.
Like, enjoy this while I'm gone and have yourself. And it was just this idea of like, it's the thoughtfulness of, yes, you can do whatever. Yes, you can mix a drink. You could, but this has this intentionality behind it that goes, okay, this is curated, well taken care of. The product is great. The experience of having it in your fridge and taking it out and having the easy use case for it. It's like, okay, it has the exact, put this much and this much, just like your story from when you were there. What was a hurdle with the brand that you had to go like, oh man, we got to figure this out because it's messing with the brand and it's hurting us?
Yeah. There was a level in the stages of this company that actually, so a lot of the early parts of entrepreneurship, like the seductive nature of entrepreneurship, the romance of entrepreneurship, for me, is always in the earlier stages. Like when it's you and it's like you're at a folding table, at like a fold out table at a farmer's market, and you see that person have that moment and they buy it. Like that is almost like the romantic side where you're like, oh, it's starting to work.
Yeah.
For us, we're in an industry that you get to a certain point where it becomes so dependent on other organizations, other decision makers. And for us, that could be distributors.
Yeah.
Like we can take it so far, but if we're going to launch into 1,100 stores or 500 hotels, I now am relying on somebody to do their job. Yeah. And honestly, they're terrible. Distributors, they pitch themselves as your sales rep, but they fulfill and bill. And sometimes they don't do a good job with the fulfill. You can be like, hey, we just launched in 1,800 stores. We need you to deliver. And then they don't. Yeah. Or when they do, then they hit you with like $50,000 to $60,000 worth of fees. Yeah. We're in the small print. Yeah. So I think that's been one of our biggest things is like getting to the point now where we're so reliant on these massive organizations that you think would have done like a great system.
Yeah, you think they would have well-oiled machines. They're doing it across the country.
And then you're like no offense, and I don't think anyone will listen to this from these places, but you're like, cool, we're in Sprouts. And then all of a sudden you're like, this is a terrible experience. We're in Walmart. We're in Target. That to me was like a huge learning curve because not only is it it's a necessary evil because you need these partners. Yeah. But then the partners are prioritizing the biggest brands in the world. They're going to prioritize Bacardi. They're going to prioritize Terramana and Casamiga and all these. That's where they make their money. So then when they see this up and coming, emerging, better for you product, they're going to promise you the world. And then when you get in, they're not going to give you any energy or time. And then you're losing business and you're losing resources. Right out of the gate, that was the first one. It's just like getting to the point where it became less of a small business and more like medium to enterprise. And you're like, my gosh, the growth is actually the thing that is now becoming the threat.
Okay. Wow.
So that I think would be one. And
did you guys have a way that you were like, okay, we've got to fix, like, what was your like initial go-to strategy to overcome that distribution problem or channel right there?
You're still
in the middle of it. Yeah.
We started to find.
I think I saw a couple videos of yours where you were fixing the product on the shelves.
Oh, I do that every day. I can go in a Kroger and I'm like, hold on, babe. I go over. Sometimes we'll like mess up areas and I'm like, these perfect facing forward. Because it's always in it. That's the thing is that takes me back to the first site. Right. Well, if I'm going to miss them at the first site, I'm going to miss them at the with company moment because it's part of that. It's that first.
Because there's that whole statistic around the idea of a person picks up your product in retail, the percentage of them actually purchasing that product is astronomically higher. Like they're upwards up to 75% more likely to buy your product if they pick it up off the shelf in the retail space.
Well, because all day long we're fed ads all day long. Like, hey, check out this product. Here's a photo, billboard. Like, we see thousands of pieces of advertisement every single week to the point where it's like, what can you trust anymore? Versus, you're right, having that in-person experience. Like, if I text you, I was like, love you, bro. That's one thing. If I'm with you, I give you a hug. I'm like, I love you, bro. There's that different level of perception and perception. That's a funny example. I mean, that's great. What came to mind. You're going to feel like I feel more connected to you in that moment than a text, though they both are meaningful. And
I think in that moment what I loved about what you were doing, it was not like a battle card, like this brand sucks and our brand is great. You were doing this moment where you're going, we have an espresso martini that actually uses espresso versus people who like, I didn't realize that was actually a reality till you guys almost pulled the curtain back to go, we're not trying to trash these other brands. We're just trying to tell you why we actually stand behind our product. And it was this moment again, connecting with what you guys were doing because the authenticity around your product, it didn't feel like you were doing something weird in a store. It felt like you were being authentic to your brand.
Well, and the funny thing is a lot of the products on the shelves are also distributed by the same distributor, but because they're so much bigger in terms of volume, they're prioritized. It's almost like you have like this little edge about you where you're like, man, there's competitors of ours that are doing $102 million, $100 a year with something that if the average consumer read the nutritional label and someone explained it to them, they'd be like, I make all these healthy decisions in my life and then I'm going to drop the ball here. And so there is a little bit of that, like, man, I still know if it's happening with products that are subpar, then it can happen with one that's trying to like raise the bar. Like that actually is done right. One thing that I think I've learned over time is your differentiator may or may not be the thing that works. Like you think it's going to be, but then when it doesn't happen as fast or there's so much resistance, you're almost like, what does it cost to actually educate someone at the highest level of something better? You can do it on social, but like when you're talking about, we'll get into 1,000 retail stores and then they'll come back and say, hey, the bottle next to you is doing 5 bottles per store per week. You're doing 2. You guys need to get the number up. And I'm like, that's a household name that's been around for 20 years. It's going to take time. And it's wild, the cost of getting that education at the highest level.
And how does a brand think about, like when you guys are thinking educating the market, I think that is a part on the show that I would love to even see a little bit of your thought process on. How do people look at educating the market on their product? Like what's the way that you guys are testing, doing R&D around educating people on a product?
We could do a better job with it, but I honestly think it's for instance, with retail trial, right? Like trial meaning like getting customers to try it. The way that's built now is ultimately in the digital space. Like we weren't ready to go into the retail the way we did because once we got in, then it was like, shoot, how do we educate a customer?
Right.
Like if a celebrity didn't show them, hey, go buy my product here, and they had that influence, they need a reason when they go in that store to want to buy the product.
Right.
For you to survive in that store. It's not enough for someone to just stumble across it. So how you do that is honestly massive amounts of money that we have never raised enough to really drive that pre-awareness going into the store. So you almost have to do it at an organic level, through TikTok, through Meta. You have to build that. Like if I get a customer online that then becomes a repeat customer, when they go into the store, they're buying it. Right. But then the question is,
what's the ratio to e-commerce to retail for you guys?
In the beginning, it was, back when I was, bought that box van and was, driving liquor store to liquor store, we were doing like, $5,000 a month. Like there was no money being made. And then when COVID hit, a buddy of mine who actually had an agency here in Franklin named Chandler Welling, I couldn't afford to run ads. And we had this amazing relationship that spurred up from, he invited me out to LA to an e-commerce conference, came back and was like, dude, we got to get going. I'm like, I can't afford it. He's like, I'm just going to do it and we'll figure the rest out later. And then that next month it was like $65,000 online. The next month, $80,000. And the e-commerce kind of took off. Where in COVID, we weren't home like one day because of COVID. We were packing boxes. We were hiring all my friends that were losing their jobs. Like, hey, come pack.
Yeah.
Because everyone was stuck at home, and because we weren't spending money out, we were then spending money to make being at home more luxurious, or like, you know, people were spending money and they were drinking. Yeah. It's true. And so it was mainly e-commerce. And then I was like, guys, this buyer behavior is going to change. Like we absolutely through like e-commerce, we were selling millions of dollars worth of product. I'm like, there's going to be a shift, and those that aren't prepared will go out of business. And a lot of founders I know did go out of business. So I was like, what are we going to do? I'm like, let's build out the wholesale side. Okay. And that shortly after that, getting an email from Target to our website was pretty wild. And I was like, hey, we want to bring you in.
That's a big day.
We want to bring you. Well, we thought it was spam. We're like, oh, we get stuff like this all the time. Just maybe let's follow up on that one. Yeah. So they were like, can you guys handle this? And I'm like, absolutely. You know, just like straight up a lie. But I was like, yeah, we're taking this chance. Yeah. They didn't put us in the beverage section. They put us in the gifting section because they rotate that every 6 to 12 months. I was like, I don't care if they give us a parking spot to sell out of. We're saying yes. Yeah, yeah. And we're going to ride. We're going to grab this bull by the horns and see how far we can go. So that really shifted it to probably closer to 50-50.
How did Target find out about you? They tell you?
I don't know.
You don't even know.
They just were like, we want to put it in the gifting section. And we're like, absolutely. And also I knew like this is going to get companies like Sprouts to pick up their phone, companies like Kroger, Whole Foods, because you have a little bit of leverage now to say, hey, we are in here. And a lot of these retailers want what the other competitor has. So I think I said yes to it more for if we want to get into retail and we can have this logo next to our sales deck or our pitch deck, this is going to take us places. And it did ultimately. Yep. So it became about 50-50. And then it was really I would say 2022 when I started thinking like, hey, this started in the bar. What if we take it back to the bar? Think about the places, not your like high-end cocktail bar, but think about these places that turn and burn cocktails, especially national accounts, right? Like J. Alexander's, Buffalo Wild Wings, Chili's, like some of these like mid-grade that are just like, they need to make the same drink the same way in the same amount of time, regardless of bartender training. Like it doesn't matter if it's the busboy or the manager, anybody can make a WithCo drink and it's going to be the same, whether it's their first time or their 100th time. So that's when we really started focusing on like, let's go after national beverage accounts that have margaritas on their menus, old fashions, espresso martinis. And that really opened up kind of like the third silo of the company, which would still be wholesale. But today it's probably like 80-20, 80% B2B wholesale and 20% e-commerce. It's just, I mean, e-commerce is such an expensive endeavor. Yeah. With just advertising and Amazon fees.
What's interesting about what you're saying for me is when we're looking at holistic branding and we're thinking about all the different elements of it, when we talk about even brands that think like movements, right? They don't think like a normal business. They think spreadability. They think about how does this message get out further, faster to new places. Even the way that you are thinking, hey, this buyer behavior is going to change. Your product was stable. You had proven that the market wanted it. You had proven that it was actually good and that people would pay for it at that premium price point. The quality of the product was there. Then you saw market behavior changing. And then you saw, again, there's something about when a leader is willing to make these risks with their team that I think is so important on these movement type brands that are like, hey, we're going to push something forward that's going to challenge the status quo, that's going to challenge what everybody's doing. You can't, it's like, you'll hear people say, we want to challenge the status quo. We want to be disruptive. But I look at them and I say, who has the conviction? Where's the person on your team with that conviction to say, I'm going to stomach the change? And what I'm seeing over and over again in your story, these moments where you're like, hey, the guy says, if you show up here every day, every week, I'm going to do this. A leader willing to risk it, to rally their team towards this is such an, I would dare say overlooked because people romanticize the founders, but it's a quality that doesn't need to exist, that needs to exist. Doesn't mean you need to be famous. It just means you need to have this conviction in you to believe that. And so you're seeing it again where you go, hey, there's another market. We should go chase that because your product was solid. Now you're going after it another way. If you had to think right now about these individuals who are looking at their brand, they're going, all right, if you had to sit with them, if you were that guy going, hey, we're going to meet every week. You're going to do these 3 things. What are the 3 things you're going to tell them to do right now with your brand that regardless of whatever the product is, something that kind of applies to multiple lanes here, or maybe it's something you're even internalizing right now where you're like, these are 3 things I'm thinking about right now.
First and foremost, which is more of on the individual side than the product side, but the individual is what's behind the product, is don't do it alone. Find a community, whether they're in similar stages, prior stages, or they're beyond the current stage you're in, and talk about the pain points. Talk about the things that you're experiencing, not just in the business, but as the entrepreneur, the weight you hold, the money that you need that you don't know how to find. Like, that's my biggest piece. And I waited a little too long to do it, but now it's something I do every day. I'm like, I've got my guys, girls, different founders that I can call, and I'm like, I need 200 grand in like 6 days to pay a bill. Who's doing short-term capital? Who's doing this? Also, I feel really lonely and fearful right now. Are you experiencing that too? I know you were, and I was there with you, and you just have this like
camaraderie,
this connecting point. To me, that's number one, because you will isolate, and then there'll be disconnection in your marriages, your relationships, whatever you believe. Like, it will affect everything if you're not staying healthy and choosing ways of, connecting with other people. So that'd be number one. I would say number two, this is just coming to top of mind, is like, figure out a silo that you can build and create sustainable growth in first. Because it's very easy, and we did it this way, and now we're like trying to build 3 massive verticals at once with a small team and limited funds. But I would say, like, find that vertical that makes the most sense, that can make the most amount of money, that you can find the people to help do it. Build that and become known in that space, whether that is maybe you're a service and you're like, hey, we serve everybody. You're like, no, you don't. Go find that niche that says, hey, we know there's 50 people that struggle with this problem, and we can start there. You're going to build your confidence, your belief system. You're going to have money coming in. And then you can go, hey, we found out that we could also serve this. Then it's this discernment of knowing when have you mastered the first silo before you take that on. And that's just something I think you're going to have to learn on your own. But I would say, like, hyper-focused on, to me, it's sustainable, profitable growth. We followed neither of those for so long, and it about killed me.
Wow.
In more ways than one. But now we're in that direction, but it took a long time. So that'd be probably number 2, is just, you can't do everything. Find the silo that makes sense, build that. And when that's sustainably at a healthy place, then move to the next, if it makes sense in your business. It's funny because I'm trying to think of one, but I'm sure there's 100.
What if I know, because I'm following your train of thought here. What if this person goes, okay, yes, 1, yes, 2, and then they're like, but I really don't care about how it looks. It doesn't really matter to me. Like, they have this approach where they're just like, the product is awesome. Let the product sell itself. What are you saying to them? Because you have a little bit of an obsessiveness on this visibility element to a product that's also quality, but you care about how it shows up on the shelf. How are you coaching them up to change the way they think about that?
It could be industry specific, product specific, or service specific. So what I mean by that is there's companies out there that make millions of dollars, super profitable, and they don't have a logo. And that works for them. They're like, I'm a roofer. Like, my brother is a super successful builder, contractor, been doing it his whole life. He's never had a voicemail, a website, or a business card. And he is stressed with the amount of level of work he has.
Totally.
Great. That works, right? He doesn't think like I do. And he's like, I don't care to have that. Right? So that makes sense for him. Now, if somebody is in a space where they have a consumer package,
so good.
Maybe it's a consumer package product, it's a service, and they need to have something that, when I think about brand, which I don't know if you were going to ask me, like, what does brand mean to you? But, like, what comes up for me.
We'll wrap it up here. I love this. I love where you're headed. So go ahead and go for it.
When I think about brand, it's not what the company says it is. It's how it makes people feel when they're present with it and absent from it. Meaning, like, when they're experiencing it, they're going to have a way they feel. And then when you're not there to tell them how to feel, they're going to have an experience about your brand. Right. To me, it all comes back to the emotion and the feeling. So I would tell somebody, if you're selling a service or a product, it's going to have to connect emotionally with that person, with a pain point. Because at the end of the day, you're adding value in your business, no matter what it is. I would say if you don't think that way, but you're in a product or industry that needs it, go find somebody that does think that way and have them sit with you and go, my product's great and this is who it's for. There's some people out there that think like me. Like in a different world, I could be a designer,
right?
Only because I can see it. I actually can't really do it. I can to an extent, but most of my thing is seeing it and then finding somebody.
Yeah.
Like when I work with a designer, I go, I'm either going to be your best client because it's going to be crystal clear.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to be your worst client because I'm going to have a lot of opinions. Yeah. And every single time at the end, they're like, you were the best client.
Yeah.
Because you gave me 90 or you brought it 90 and then you gave me 10. You gave me the trust of the 10.
Yeah.
And collectively we hit 100. I would say to that person, like, it probably matters more than you think, but it's okay that you don't understand how much it matters.
That's good.
It's not your job to go try to make a logo. If you don't know what it's supposed to look and feel like, go find somebody.
Yeah.
You know, go to a co-working space, get on, use AI, use chat. Yeah. Like that would be my encouragement is like, know if you need it.
Yeah.
And if you do, know that it may not be you to do it. And then know that there's people that can help you do it.
Love that.
But I would say it's just, it can't just be a logo. The logo has to have meaning. Like we all, like I tell people a lot of times, or I used to say this a lot, is I'm like, what we do is sell a non-alcoholic cocktail mixer. Why we do it is to bring people together one beverage at a time. To me, the second one's way more important, but they're both needed.
Yep.
Because you and I are probably more emotional, heart-led guys that connect to that second thing.
For sure.
But then like there might be somebody that's like, that sounds cool, but what the hell is it? And you're like, they need that information too.
Totally. So true, man.
But
it's real.
And that's the thing is when I think about brand, it's like when I'm with you and we have WithCo, you're going to feel it. Yeah. But then when I'm not with you, brand is you still feeling that moment of connection without me in the room. Yeah. With you and your friends. And I feel like it needs to represent itself without the founder being there to tell you.
I love that.
Or being on the website. Like once it's in your hands, you now are going to go represent what WithCo means in your life because it's who you choose to enjoy it with. Yeah. So that's
amazing. Well, bro, thanks for being on the show today. I appreciate it, man.
It was awesome. It's therapy. It's just therapeutic because like sometimes you have all this information and then when you bring it out, then you have a conversation around it. Like, it's like, you know, podcasts sometimes for me are like the host is helping hold up mirrors that you need to see in yourself or things that you need to be reminded of.
It's true.
So
it's true.
I love it.
Yeah, man. Thanks, bro.